New York. This is where the Russian-speaking population coming from CIS countries live. Became gem, older woman works right here. Taking care of the elderly is one of the main occupations for female workers for the Russian-speaking population here. Besides this, became gives a hand to fellow countrymen from the local Kyrgyz diaspora. In this video, you will watch our conversation with her. Dear friends, today's guest is Begim. Since 2012, she has been working here as a home attendant. She provides help to the elderly. As you might have heard, many women mostly come to New York, the United States of America, to take care of children, or they help the elderly here. Is your job hard? I mean, I'm sure it is hard, but what are the aspects of the job you find the hardest? Many people talk about the specific difficult aspects of the job. There are two types of caregiving jobs here, taking care of children and taking care of the elderly. But they use totally different systems here for them. For instance, taking care of children is called cash. They work for cash. Whereas taking care of older people is funded by the government. You have to train, obtain a certificate, and have a legal work permit. But if you don't have the license, you cannot work as a caregiver for older people through the government. You come across many clients with different personalities. People say that taking care of children, for example, is hard and considered to be a high responsibility job. But it is even harder to work with old men and women because they may have different personalities. You have to adapt to people's characters. Yes, you have to. Sometimes if you have 5 working hours with old women or men, they might drain you. You spend a lot of energy. You spend your youth there. You can come across these kinds of patients. In my case, I work 12 hours from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m., 7 days a week. Fortunately, my patient is very nice. He has a good character. Yes, that's right. It was a big revelation for me to learn that educated people differ a lot from uneducated ones. You can clearly see the difference. No discrimination, whether you're Kyrgyz, Jewish, or other nationalities. My patient doesn't pay me from his own pocket. The government covers it. So my old man patient has a stomach ulcer. I cook food with no salt at all, a very strict diet. How many times a day do you cook? I cook one dish and he can eat that for 2-3 days, but I cook some other fresh food every day. He doesn't eat fried, too salty and spiced food, because he's very picky with food or very careful. He watches what he eats. I heard many older women say that no matter how many hours you spend with your patient, 4 or 5, just sitting within these 4 walls is very hard on a psychological level. My job is a 12-hour job. I am responsible for this old man. It's on my head. I cannot leave him alone. If this blood pressure rises or falls within my working hours, his condition gets worse. It is my responsibility to watch and check that. Another challenge for women I heard is lifting an old person. Your patient can walk by himself, but what about other women's cases? No, so if my old man patient accidentally falls down onto the floor, I am not allowed to lift him up. I need to immediately call 911. They usually ask about the details of what happened, how it happened. Then they ask questions like, would just an ambulance or firefighters be enough, or if policemen are also required? And according to what information you provide, they send you a group of responders. First, I ask my old man patient if he doesn't have any injuries, where exactly he feels hurt, Then I report accordingly. I don't have the legal right to lift him up, but sometimes they, patients, don't like other people, like paramedics, policemen, to get involved in the situation. So they might ask you to just lift them up and help them to sit up. But according to legal regulations, we shouldn't do that. Therefore, you ask for help. They arrive. They fill up their protocols, help your patient sit up, and leave. This fish will last me for 2 days. One steamed fish, no frying. I would usually toss them into the oven, but he doesn't like it anymore. Therefore, I steam like this. It is very soft with no salt. He doesn't eat salt at all. I don't put salt in any of the food he eats. This portion is his second meal for the day. There was the first meal as well. His first meal was pelmeni, dumplings, just boiled in water with no salt. Please meet Mikhail. I'm not feeling well today. How old are you, Mikhail? You look very young. What is she saying? She's asking how old you are. I will be 95 in a month. Mikhail, how long have you been working with Becca? What kind of person is she? And what are her responsibilities? Oh, so 2 years. Her responsibilities I couldn't do without her. She bathes me, cleans the house, and cooks. Well, she does everything. Who was the last person you worked with before Becca? There were other people before her. Her job is hard? Ah? Is her job hard or not? You have to ask her about it. What do you think? Well, it is hard when she bathes me because it is hot outside and she gets wet. I bath him like a baby. Of course, it is hard for her. Bikaimaje and I went to the shore of the Atlantic Ocean for a walk. She lives very close, just about there. Knowing that you're from Issyk-Kul, Ananiva, you didn't want to live far from water, right? I would like to tell you that Bikaim actively participates in social activities too. She hosted 9 sportsmen from Kyrgyzstan recently. She also works with the Kyrgyz diaspora. What exactly do you do there? I heard that they call you a little engine who manages everything. Well, about being an engine, I'm very funny. I like making jokes a lot. I make really biting ones, and they understand me. There are 28 members in our diaspora community. They don't get upset at my jokes, they take them as jokes. What kind of activities do you guys usually do there, diaspora? I Every member of the community has their own responsibilities. Last year we held a large sports festival. Kyrgyz people from all over the state came to participate. We organized it and this was big event. The reason why we formed the diaspora in the first place. New York is, in Russian we call it transshipment base. Newcomers arrive in New York first. Here they learn about the laws and life and culture of America, and then they go to other states of the country from here. What can I show you? I just wanted to see if you have Facebook, Instagram, how do you connect with your children? No, through Skype only. Ah, through Skype? Yes. So you log in then, right? Yes, I log in. Where do you read the news? I don't read them, I listen to them. Ah, you listen. Where do you listen to them? Through my laptop here. Here are my headsets. You listen to them on YouTube like that, right? Yes, I do. He loved his wife a lot. He still remembers her with only good memories and words. I see that he is still wearing his wedding ring. I think that it is his gesture of love and respect toward his wife. It's my personal opinion, because they were never apart after marriage. They respected each other a lot. He used to serve in the military, working as a captain of a ship his whole life. Then he retired. He's educated. It is very interesting for me to talk to these kinds of people. I work 12 hours in this house. Since he doesn't have family members here, I am here for the most of my time, and I'm like his family member. This training bicycle was here when I came here in the beginning. I train here. When he has his appointments at the hospital. This is called a wheelchair. I use it to push him around to go to visit the doctors. There are special cars for them to drive us to the hospital. It is free of charge. You call them and tell them about the time and date of your visit to your doctor. They arrive on time. They're called lift cars. Taking him just sitting in the chair, putting him onto the platform, and putting him in the car. They drive us there and back. Some people might say that it is actually a very good job, that there is nothing hard about taking care of an old man. It seems pretty easy to me, doesn't it? Are there among the people you know some who think that it isn't an easy job? They may picture things a bit differently. Of course, there are some. Oh, it is very easy to take care of old men and women because they are not like kids, but we work with patients with different health conditions. For instance, people diagnosed with Alzheimer, they may forget immediately what they eat. They can just walk outside with no warning. And if that happens within your working hours and the person isn't able to find his way back home, you're responsible for that. Or they might blame you for no reason. There was a situation that happened to me. A few years back, I worked with an old man with Parkinson's. He would constantly make appointments with his doctor just by calling on his own every single day. For example, we went there one day to visit his therapist, and he would make an appointment for the next day after I had left. He would hide his medical cards from me. His daughter asked me to put aside his cards so that he wouldn't be able to call his doctors and make appointments. He would forget where he hid the cards. Once, while I was talking to the coordinator of our agency on the phone, he called the police and told them that I had stolen his medical cards. 3 minutes later, the police were already knocking on our door. Usually, in these kinds of situations, the police would just handcuff you and drag you to the station until the circumstances are clarified. I had to call his daughter while putting on the loudspeaker mode in front of the police. She then explained to the police through the phone that her father was sick and had a special condition. Or sometimes the police call an ambulance and place them in a mental hospital. But his daughter explained again and again, saying that he had appointments with the psychiatrist the next day, and then they left us alone. So there are many similar cases like this. Also, I mentioned earlier about patients falling down on the floor. If we leave them to sit up or to lie on the bed, it can leave tiny bruises on the body of your patient. And when their daughters or sons come to visit them, they ask you why they have the bruises. They might complain and say that you did it. And their kids might report that we beat them or don't give enough attention to their parents, especially the ones. Fortunately, my old man patient is sane. He arrived here when he was 68, right? Yes, he is in a good mental condition. He is aware of everything happening around him. He can't hear well and can't walk very well. Otherwise, as I mentioned earlier, those kinds of old men and women, even their children, if their arms or legs are accidentally dislocated while you were helping them to sit up, then we are responsible for that. Many Kyrgyz women coming here work in this field, and it is very interesting for people from Kyrgyzstan. It may be different from person to person, but the salary they receive here every week. So, in general, not only yours, what is the range of wages here in this field? An official salary like yours. In New York, the official minimum wage is 15 per hour. Per hour? Yes, it went up to $15. But people are saying that it will be raised to 20. Officially, we cannot work more than 40 hours per week, according to the laws of New York and the entire country. I talked to women working in this field, and they said that the most difficult part of the job is to bath a person. That old people have their own specific smell and that they have to bath them often to keep them fresh and clean. Some of them said, we bath, bath, and bath. It is a very difficult thing for us, but we get used to it. There are many different patients here. For instance, some patients are in a lying position. Some are lying, but on top of that are very large. We get trained on taking care of them, learning special skills to provide services for them. This is all on the shoulders of girls. From the outside, the girls might seem small and thin, but they are trained and experienced in doing it. It depends on your education and skills. You see cases where those kinds of small girls easily take care of a large man because we were taught to do that. You have to know your job. Yes, you do. For example, about my old man patient, I take care of everything. I am like his daughter. I bath him. Everything. I do his laundry, cooking. I am the king and the queen of the house. I know where his things are. They have food stamp cards where the government sends the money every month. You're allowed to buy food only, right? Yes, only to buy food. I keep his food stamps cards because I know what he eats. I buy produce for making food. As you have seen already, you witnessed how I purchased food for him. I bought fish in front of your eyes. Concerning the psychological aspect of the job, is it difficult to work in this field? Yes, it is. It is mentally hard. I will just repeat that I have said earlier you meet different types of patients. Ah, I see. Could you please share your future plans with us? You have been living here for a long time. Your family is also here apparently. Speaking of my future plans, I have been living here for the last 12 years. When I first arrived here, I started working as a babysitter with accommodation in one family. I used to take care of two little girls until I got all the legal documents done, because tax is an extremely important thing here. You have to pay tax and be a law abiding person. You can get those legal documents. If you don't pay tax or you have a slight problem, like for instance, how to say it, if you have a small debt, then the punishment for that is extremely harsh. You will get punished for that. Therefore, it is extremely important to be vigilant and careful with tax and financial aspects in your job. Was it easy to find a job here before, like when you first arrived here? Of course, compared to today, it used to be a lot easier. We used to choose our jobs. Now people cannot choose, even if they want to do so. There is no job. Especially families like 3, 4 children from Mexico arrive a lot. If you don't have anyone you can trust who can invite you and meet you, I wouldn't suggest coming here. America is not kind to lazy people. It attracts people because in many other countries, your salary due date is the end of the month. Here, people get weekly wages. If you work for 5 minutes, you get the salary for those 5 minutes. If you want to quit your job, no one will force you. Like, you come to work, you have to work the whole term. Here, you can easily say, oh, sorry, I didn't like it here. This job turned out to be not quite what I would like. If you work an hour, you get the salary for that time, and just easily quit your job. You don't have to wait for the end of the month, and that makes people get distracted. A weekly salary really keeps you going. So when you start missing our motherland, they put the money in your pocket and then you don't want to leave. Yes, in short, money rules. I have also heard that people know that in this Russian speaking area people are newcomers, that sometimes some unscrupulous people try to take advantage of them. Yes, there are different families. What kind of situations this might turn to? People who come here because they don't know the local legal system, they feel quite disadvantaged. Well, they really don't know the laws when they first arrive. I have heard that sometimes people don't get paid for a month or so. Yes, there are cases where they don't. They work at difficult jobs and might not get paid. There are many cases like this, but the law here works very well. Whether you have your legal license or not, you can call the police and make complaints about your employer. You have the right to do so. You can complain even if you don't have your documents. You can report that you provided the service and didn't get paid for that. The police deal with the questions, whereas the migration issue. The police don't report that you don't have your documents. You're legally staying here. They don't transfer you to the migration department. Of course, there are some bad people. They might threaten you, saying, "You are staying here illegally. I will deport you." Some people might get scared, but you shouldn't be. I want to express my gratitude for sharing your day with us. Dear friends, we talked about jobs for people from Kyrgyzstan here in New York. We had a chat with Bika Imajeb, who has hosted many sportsmen, cultural workers coming from Kyrgyzstan. She hosts them like her own siblings. If you have any questions on this video or other topics you're interested in, please leave your comments below. My name is Sanata Jumakadurova. Thank you for being with us.